Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's very special presentation titled Riding in the Fast Lane 2017. My name is Steve Chappell, the Director of Trading Systems Development here at VectorVest, and I know we're all looking for that trading system that just makes money month in, month out, year in, year out. Well, you know, recent market conditions have left a lot of our subscribers that I'm talking to these days kind of scratching their heads. And you know, it's difficult sometimes for you guys to nail down what kinds of trading systems are going to perform well in what kinds of situations and so on and so forth. So I wanted to share with you a trading system we've already demonstrated a couple of times, but it's really performing well even in this market turbulence that we find ourselves in today. And so let's get into it. You know, here's just a look at some recent performance, and if we just even focus in on what's happened since the beginning of the year, this trading system is performing spectacularly. So what I want to do is spend some time to recover this whole concept of trading in the fast lane that all began with a search called Star Search that was developed by Dr. Barbara Starr, a dear friend of mine and also a dear friend of VectorVest, who has written a number of articles for Stocks and Commodities magazine, and she put together a terrific way to go about stock selection using a novel approach to Bollinger Bands. So we're going to recover that, but first I just wanted to show you some quick performance. I mean, this thing just makes money year in and year out. All right, so let's break this all down, and then let me show you how you can even get started with it today. First, you know, let's just go all the way back and focus in on the stock selection methodology. So I'm going to break us over into VectorVest. And the first thing that I want to point out is right within the Unisearch tool, there is going to be a collection of folders here. I'm going to go right down to the Pro Trader folder. That's an important point to mention. You do need Pro Trader to be able to do this particular trading system. All right, and so we've got a very special offer for you right in the views. You can try it out for a couple of weeks, and if you decide to keep it, you know, we've got a special deal on the one-time purchase for you as well. You'll be able to see all that on the website, and again, the link is right in the VectorVest views, or you can just give us a call on our sales line, and we'd be glad to take care of you. All right, but in the Pro Trader folder, I'm going to skip down to Star Search. And so one of the things that we'll see when I click on Star Search is that it's going to be using a couple of technical indicators, which is why it's built into Pro Trader. First one, it's going to use our DPO, Detrended Price Oscillator, to get an idea on emerging trend. There's also going to be a novel use of Bollinger Bands, and what we're going to be looking for here is Bollinger Band squeeze and break, and riding in what we call the fast lane. And so let me demonstrate that quickly visually, because that's the best way to really learn it. I'm going to go ahead and take my date back to a DEW up signal, because that's the timing model that this particular trading system that we're going to dive into uses. And so on the calendar, out here to the right, if I open up the quick dates, you can change it to DEW for your selection. And you'll see back in November, you know, as the markets really started to cook, a DEW up signal was given on November the 11th. So if I click on 11, click on OK, I can run the search and find the kind of stocks that Star Search would put on your radar on that day. Realizing I can run it today and get the current Star Search hit list then. So what I want to do is just kind of walk you through some historic information. That way you get a better feel for it. All right, so I'm just going to take a look at the top several stocks here. I'm going to highlight them all up, and then I'm just going to graph them up here at the top. All right, now over on the right, we've got a very special layout up in the graph layout section. If I go to Star Search here, it's going to put the indicators on the way that they're supposed to be used and interpreted. All right, and so our next thing to do is just simply go back and find that date of November 11. And I've isolated that for us. And the one thing that I want to emphasize the most is that you can see on the top graphic there's a couple of layers of Bollinger Bands on there. We've got some inner bands and some outer bands, and of course they're set to different standard deviations. But the way that Bollinger Bands operate is they look at volatility, and so when the bands are colliding or coming together, converging, that indicates that volatility is weakening. Okay, as they expand and separate, as you can see back through this part of the graph, or certainly there's been a lot of movement on the stock here as of late. Volatility has been big on Finisar. You can see how they expand, all right, indicating that volatility is coming into the equity. So what we do with this particular setup is we look for stocks that hopefully trade within a narrow band, begin to break outside of the inner Bollinger Band, and ride in what we call the fast lane between the yellow, the upper yellow, and upper white line. That's the fast lane. And so it's a wonderful little technique to catch stocks that are breaking out and with a lot of good momentum behind them on top of that. So you can see here with Finisar, it went on a nice little run there for a matter of really about a couple of weeks before it began to break down. We also like to confirm the breakout with the DPO blue background there, the blue indicator, and that is a DPO 20-day look back. And so that needs to move above 0 to confirm a new price direction or emerging trend is actually underway. As far as managing a particular position, you know, if you're doing it by hand and you're just running the search and managing these trades on your own, kind of from just the stock graph itself, when price breaks down out of the fast lane into the middle lane, you can consider taking profits on the particular trade at that stage. We also like to use the red DPO down there at the bottom, which is a little faster. It's a 9-day look back, so more reactive to price, and we like to use that by way of confirmation. So you could see this would have been a timely exit when price broke down through the Bollinger Band, the inner Bollinger Band set, and was confirmed by the DPO 9 going below 0. And it's really that simple. I don't want to get into all the math and all the other applications. Also, just interesting to point out, you can also use this as a stop and reverse and play the equity short and ride the slow lane, which can actually turn into a fast lane downward. But we're going to focus on just buying opportunities. We're going to focus on buying equities like Finisar when a DEW up is signaled. We're only going to be buying from the search during those up signal periods on the market. Once a DEW on the market turns down, then we're not buying anything new at all. And that's an important point to mention because if we look at a market timing graph even today and just focus on the current situation, I've got the, let me make sure I get the DEW timing on here, and we'll even use the benefit of the enhanced. Okay, we're good to go. I'm going to go to the bottom and put on the signal. Right, you can see it's kind of been bouncing around here a little bit, and even so the trading system's still performing well. You went from a down signal on March 21st to an up signal on the 30th to a down signal right here on the 5th. Okay, so you're in a situation right now where you should not be picking up new positions quite yet. You're still waiting for a DEW up signal to occur for you to start picking up shares. That's an important thing just to know on a current basis. Having said that, there's still, you'll see in the trading system, some active positions, because while we're not acquiring anything new, we're still managing the positions that we have. And just for the trading system that we're using a 10% trailing stop. So that's just something to keep in the back of your head. So you're going to be buying Star Search equities, buying a basket of 5 when the DEW flashes an up call. Then you're going to manage those positions with a 10% trailing stop. Anything that violates it, you kick it out, and if you're still in a DEW up, you replace it. When you get a down, you stop replacing and you just let the basket weed itself out if the market really turns sour. Okay, so that's just the inner workings and how it's all going to fit together. So it starts with market direction. We need to be in a DEW up signal in order to get started. Hopefully there's one right around the corner here in the not too distant future, and you would begin. And then you would continue to replace or replenish the portfolio with Star Search as long as the market continues to be in a DEW up. Do not replace in the down and just let it weed itself out. You're going to see the benefits of that here in just a moment. Let me go ahead and close this out. Okay, let's take a look at some performance. I mean, the performance is really the important thing that I want to get across, because the trading system itself, you know, while if you're looking at graphs individually one by one, you can better establish what looks like the best trading opportunities. However, having said that, the trading system itself is going to do all of that for you. All right, and so here in the back tester, I just quickly wanted to show you some overall performance, and then I did a little further testing just to ensure that here recently this thing just continues to cook and plot along. What a beautiful equity curve, just a smooth, steadily rising equity curve you see down there. There are going to be times, as I mentioned, where you completely weed out your portfolio when the market turns sour enough and there's enough downside activity. You can see a few times that that has occurred here in the past. Okay. The next thing to point out, of course, is this initial run that I'm showing you right now started way back in 2012, because that's when we started the initial back test that culminated with the trading system that we developed. And that, you know, was run all the way up until about first week in July, second week in July of 2014. All right, now since July 2014, this thing has continued to roll. And that's, you know, that's your hope, that's your goal, is that you develop something sound enough with good sound methodologies that it's going to continue to perform, and this one certainly has. Okay, so it's produced 171% over that time frame, which is nearly 40% annualized, or 26% compounded rate of return, which is fantastic, especially considering the drawdown of only a little over 10% over that entire test. And guys, 2014 was a tough year. Okay, and you know, the market that we've been in here the last couple of weeks has been a tough market, and it's holding together very, very well. Okay, so this is a trading system that is kind of tried and true and has gone through all kinds of different turbulent markets, and it's just continued to click along. I did do another couple of runs here, and what I wanted to do first was just take a run off of the most recent bottom, you know, right before the Trump rally kicked into gear. Of course, the DEW didn't signal the up until 11:11. You know, so we were actually already bullish on the market. You got the confirmation by way of the DEW up call on November 11th. And had you got in there with the top 5 star search candidates and managed them with a 10% trailing stop, you're looking at a return of 19%, little over, or a 50% annualized rate. Again, compounded in this case, 58%, because we haven't reached the full year, right? And a max drawdown, guys, amazing. Even through this tepid market that we've been in lately, turbulent market rather, 3% drawdown, 3.25% drawdown. I mean, that's nothing. If we look at, well, what if we started on the February bottom of this year? You know, there's a pretty good down market that we got hit with early on in 2016, but then the market hit that bottom in February and really never looked back. So if we started then, you're looking at 31% gain. That's still 28 annualized, 27 compounded rate of return. All right, and look at that equity curve. I mean, from time to time, you know, it's going to go flat here, and the performance is going to be relatively flat. I don't want you to give up on it. It's going to kick into gear and eventually head higher. You just got to give it time to operate. The last one that I did was more of an acid test. This was a situation where I already mentioned the pretty good correction that we ran into late 15 into early 16. So I did start a campaign right before it with the DEW up call that came in on 10/7 of 15. And had we done that, the one thing I want to point out, if you look at the equity curve, it kept rolling through some of the mild turbulence. You can see the bounce in signals there from down to up to down on the DEW on the equity curve. Kept rolling along, but eventually the stocks got hit, and they got hit hard enough to where eventually you did put yourself into a complete cash position, and it did preserve some profit, which is really, really good stuff. Then when we started to bottom out, again in February, we get the up call on 222, and that's when you started to see some really solid performance again. So terrific, you know, trading system methodology, this one, and it's really done some good stuff. So next thing I want to do is, you know, the question that you might have is, how do I get started with something like this, right? How do I implement it? Well, one of the things, maybe the best way really, you can go in here and do some back testing. Let's just quickly discuss that way, then I want to get to the better way. Okay, so if I go up here to the top, click new, you can come down here and select an existing trading system. All right, now for the trading system you also need auto timer. Okay, auto timer includes the timing list of the DEWs, so that's an important consideration here as well. But star search is going to be a template. Okay, and so you can simply click on star search, select it, and then you can go and test any time frame you want. Just adjust the test period down here and away you go. All right, and what you're going to find is it's extremely reliable. All right, but no need to really show it. I'm going to go ahead and cancel this out. Maybe a better way for a lot of you is just to paper trade this thing for a little while, get a feel for it. The reason I say that, if I go up to the top, click on portfolios, and just show you really quickly, I did a star search conversion from a back test. Actually, the very beginning of this year, on January 3rd is when I unleashed it, and I let what we call the portfolio genius, just trade this thing for me. So I didn't even have to be present. If one of our stocks hit the 10% trail and I needed a new one because we're still in the DEW up, it would go ahead and grab the top stock that I don't have, put it in there, and trade it just like a robot, really. Well, one thing I do want to point out is if I just isolate the third here, coming in, this portfolio was up 139% from the back test. And I want to show you that if you're able to follow this thing throughout the day, even just by way of notifications through the Genius, you can do even better than the back test indicates. It's the speed at which you're doing the trades, getting in right as they're breaking out, for example, because this thing's gone from 139.2% to 174 at the peak, 168% on a current basis. You can see it's even up today. You can also see the 5 stocks that are in there all have reasonably good gains. One stock just off slightly, but you got 3 stocks in there up more than 14% on a current basis. You can also see some of these, it's not like you're going to be day trading. Some of these stocks have been picked up a while back, okay? And you're still holding on to those. One just before Christmas of last year, actually several of them are, and just one new position here as of late. Okay, so it's going to keep you in the positions as long as the 10% trail hasn't kicked them out. So again, not day trading. If I go back to the back test just really quick and hit that point home, I mean, even over the test that goes all the way back to 2012, you're still only talking about $1,500 worth of commissions. If you look at the one that began just months ago on 11/11, you're talking $169 in commissions at $4.95 a ticket. So it's not like you're trading every couple of days even. Okay, all right, so let's go back to the portfolios, and the way that you can start is really simple, guys. You just come up here to the top left, click new. You might want to call this trading in the fast lane, or riding if you prefer that. Okay. Also, if star search, whatever's going to work best for your memory, and just click OK. All right, that's going to put in just a little template here where we can add a trading system to it. So I already mentioned, if you've got auto timer, you've already got Pro Trader. If you don't have either one of those guys, maybe you just consider going up to real time, honestly. Because by the time you buy the auto timer and the Pro Trader, you might as well just go into real time and save some cost. Feel free to talk to our product support about that as well. Okay, but let me show you how to do it. So trading in the fast lane, go up here to the top right, click edit, select an existing trading system, go to star search, select it. It's already set up for you. You don't have to do anything else but save, and it's going to turn it on. Now, what you're going to see here is it's not going to be picking up any positions quite yet. And the reason is we're in a DEW down. I mentioned that earlier. But as soon as the DEW up signal comes into play, it's going to go out there and show you the 5 stocks that need to be bought. Pretty cool, right? The other way to do this, you could do a back test, bring them over, have some positions in there, and watch those and continue to manage them. But this is really the easiest way to get going, guys. And it'll give you a feel, if I start from scratch, how well is this going to perform as we hit some up market that might be coming our way. Okay? Again, just to quickly show you, this is a mature trading system. Again, it never started from scratch. I brought a back test over, the 5 stocks from the back test, beginning of this year, and it's continued to perform extremely well. We've done a lot of special presentations on this technique, particularly back in 2014, which is when really we put it all together. Started with Star Search on 7.3. We then talked about how to convert that into the fast lane methodology on 7.11. Then we put it into a trading system on 7.18 called cruising in the fast lane. Then we checked back on it a couple of times because the performance was still really, really solid. Trading in the fast lane on December 18th of 14, and again just about middle of last year anyway. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. A lot of those done by Jerry D'Ambrosio. So I'd encourage you, if you want some more information, want some more of the granular details, you can find a lot of that here. But the other thing, guys, I just wanted to share with you a trading system that really just continues to click and work really, really well. And you can see, and you'll see in some of the evidence in these videos, if you take the time, that just about any time you start this trading system, it does really, really well. All right, so that's it. And we want to just thank you for coming out to the special presentation. If you have any further questions, you can always reach us at the number listed on the screen. It's my pleasure to spend the last several minutes with you folks, and we'll see you next time right here at VectorVest University.